We've got our second Victory Monday of the season here on Panthers on the Plus. Danielle Stein, joined once again by Alex Zietlow of the Charlotte Observer. Thanks again for coming back. I mean, we had such a fun time last week, but hey, this time we get to talk about a win.
I'm thrilled. I'm truly, truly thrilled.
Honestly, it's great. So you and I were both actually at Roval 400 yesterday, so we were not in the flesh watching that victory happen. But I know, of course, we're very plugged in. We watched it all. We watched it back. We heard the press conferences. We heard the talk. So we're ready to talk about this game, right?
Oh, absolutely. I also rewatched it, the tape this morning. Was talking to Dave and was in the locker room this morning. And also, like, while the game was while we were supposedly covering the race, we were covering the race, but we were also, while stage one was happening of that NASCAR race, we were also watching the game.
We were multitasking.
Yeah, we were multitasking.
Which is great. I mean, we were doing our jobs, and, the race wasn't decided in stage one. So
right,
we had
exactly.
to watch that comeback that we're going to start to talk about, because this is a really good sign for this Panthers team who, let's go back to that week 2 game against the Arizona Cardinals. We saw a comeback effort come up short. We saw them starting to build some momentum as that fourth quarter was going. They were driving. They were starting to look good. A lot of people were like, hey, where was this the whole first half? This time, they were able to come back from 17 points down, the largest comeback in the franchise's history. What do you kind of make of that?
It's interesting because you mentioned the Cardinals game. When you go to when that game happened in Arizona, you're watching it and you're like, okay, yeah, there were 2 terrible turnovers that Bryce Young had, and that is the big reason why the Panthers fell down so early and had to climb out of this hole. But when they were coming back, they weren't coming back in this like really inspirational, explosive way. They were nickel and diming their way down the field. Bryce was finding his tight ends and Chuba in the flat, and they did sustain drives, and that was great. But this game, they were explosive. Yes, Bryce opened the game with 2 turnovers again, and that is a problem, and it will be a problem. But that first drive was a promising first drive before he just dropped the ball out of nowhere. That was a promising first drive. That second drive had to make it, like, Rico was running had shown signs of life. That offensive line had shown signs of life as well. And then he, throws the ball over Xavier Leggette's head, interception. I think this offense proved that they are much more explosive than any other time this season. How much of that has to do with the Miami Dolphins defense? They're not a very good rush defense.
Sure.
We knew that. Like, every single stat kind of bore that out. But the fact that this team could come down 17-0 and win, and win in a really convincing way. Yes, they got a critical 4th down late in the game.
Sure.
that Bryce found Jimmy Horn for. Yes, some things went their way, but they lost the turnover battle, and they still found themselves, they still had an identity, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And their identity included explosive plays, which that's the first time that's happened all year.
Yeah, Dave was really pleased to see the kind of growth from that week 2 comeback attempt to what they were able to put together. I want to play this soundbite from what Canales said after Sunday's game.
Adversity definitely builds resilience. And while I hate being in those situations, we're comfortable continuing to play, continuing to execute. And so it does build a mental toughness and emotional toughness to be able to keep moving forward and say, okay, but this next drive could be the one. And to just continue to have that optimism, that positivity about this next drive could be the one, and to execute together as a team.
Yeah, it was a complete team effort. Once they started building about, towards the end of that second quarter, all the way in that second half, it seemed like everything was really clicking. Offense was doing their job. Defense, we saw some great plays. Roseboom and Wallace were names that were kind of highlighted as well on the defensive side. But the name of this day was Rico Dowdle. Now, coming into the 5th game of the season, people were a little nervous. Chuba Hubbard out. He has been their guy for the past couple years. He's been reliable for them. He's been Bryce's, one-hand man to just hand it off with, get a couple chunk runs, things like that. We knew he was going to be joined by another 1,000-yard rusher this season, bringing in Rico Dowdle after he spent the last 5 years in Dallas. But to have a game like he did yesterday, I mean, that was unbelievable to watch.
Yeah, no, after the game, everyone's like, there was no Dowdle about it, that everything was going to go great. Well, guess what? Alex Zietlow had some Dowdles, all right? And it's not because Rico's not a good runner. He has proven that he is a remarkable runner. I mean, just looking at some of his stats, the stats bore that out today, bore that out on Sunday. 23 carries for 1 touchdown and 206 yards. Those 206 yards are 105 yards above expected, which is this NFL Next Gen Stats thing, which basically means that the expectation, given what the offensive line was giving him, was gonna have him run for 101 yards.
Wow.
He broke off 105 extra above expected yards, and that's breaking tackles. That is like finding ways to fall forward. I mean, that touchdown run that he had, he was stopped in the backfield and somehow rolled his way for 3 more yards. Like, that is what he was doing all day. And to your point, like, Rico and Chuba had not played well together, at least thus far this year. They are used to being the number one backs, like both of them. And now Chuba's taking the majority of the carries when they're both in the game. When Rico's coming in on third downs, it's hard to get a rhythm sometimes, I imagine, when that's necessarily the case. I mean, and Chuba had a great year last year, over 1,000 yards. Well, he was 11th in rushing carries last year, and that's with him missing 2 games to injury. Like, he's up there with the Derrick Henrys and the best running backs in the game when it comes to him being prolific and getting the ball a lot. That is when he's at his best. And clearly that's when Rico's at his best too, when he's getting the ball a lot. So Chuba still has a calf injury. We learned today that it's going to be a day-to-day sort of thing for him. But, like, in terms of rushing productivity, it seems like the Panthers are better when they have one clear number one back. And when they were working together, they didn't necessarily seem to have that. I don't know how you feel about that, Danielle, but it's like when it's clear that these guys need to get into a rhythm in order to be the best versions of themselves.
Yeah, I think that'll be interesting to see play out further. I think what is important to know is the two of them seem really, really supportive of each other as teammates and people in that running back room, though, too. Like, I saw when I opened up Instagram after the game, Chuba's Instagram story rooting for Rico was one of the first things that I saw. Like, I think that's really cool that even though they're playing a very similar role for this team, they're both still, celebrating each other's victories. I think it'll be interesting to see once Chuba is back, because obviously I don't feel that they're ready to just, say Rico's going to be our number one first down guy, things like that. I think there's still a lot of loyalty to Chuba, and this was a one game with Carolina. We've, of course, seen Rico have a nice career so far, but I think it'd be great if they can sort of balance off of each other moving forward. And I do want to bring up one other thing you brought up too, saying that expected yards. He had an expectation for himself that he actually told his former Gamecocks South Carolina teammate J.C. Horn earlier that he would get 180. So even he passed that. So this is what Rico said after the game.
We just put a trust in those guys up front. Like I said, we knew we would be able to run the ball, as I keep saying. Coming into the week, it was just a matter of how well we were able to run it. And definitely had great confidence in myself and those guys up front. And it worked out in our favor, like I keep saying. And I thought I could do it when given the opportunity, and definitely took advantage.
He sure took advantage. But yeah, also good to note too, the guys up front, great day for them. Cade Mays, Brady Christensen, they did their job. They did their thing.
Oh, my God. Just looking at the film, Cade Mays is making blocks on linebackers getting to that second level. Damian Lewis, is pulling to the right side and just absolutely whamming dudes to open up holes for Rico. And Rico's hitting them. This is the offensive line was supposed to be the steadiest part of this team this year.
Yeah. And
they weren't for a second. And that's for a variety of reasons, injuries among them. But last week, and I get it, the Miami Dolphins defensive line is not a good one when it comes to the NFL. But putting together such a performance is in confidence instilling, particularly after having to climb out of such a hole.
Absolutely. Rico has to be the player of the game. I think that is no question.
Yeah.
But may I throw in Eric Collins for a quick second on the broadcast call? Hornets legendary play-by-play broadcaster who made his debut doing a National Football League game had some incredible calls.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, he didn't do any humdiddly-dees or whatever. Like, he kept some things just for the Charlotte Hornets. But, man, like, I'm so happy that the whole country got to see the enthusiasm that he brings to broadcast.
Yes.
Did you see Mark Schlereth's tweet
Yeah,
earlier today?
I did.
Where, essentially, for those who didn't know what happened, basically a fan tweeted at Mark Schlereth or tweeted at Fox Sports and was like, hey, is the play-by-play guy a Carolina Panthers fan? Because he's clearly really, like enthusiastic when the Panthers are making plays. Well, the Panthers were the only teams that were really making plays in the second half. But anyway, I digress. And Mark Schlereth just like quote tweets him and says, grow up. It's not my fault that your team took a dump in their helmets in the second half or something. Very colorful and quite charming from Mark Schlereth. But, hey, I mean, like he's just defending his broadcast partner, who I think deserved to be defended. That, like, we go to sports for finding joy and enthusiasm and just like excitement, and like Eric Collins provided that and just like in an immense way.
And I would love to counter that too, because he had a great call also on one of those Waddle touchdowns.
Oh, yeah.
Like he was definitely still excited.
Yeah.
His voice has to be gone today. But we're gonna take a quick pause and we'll be right back with a lot more. All right, welcome back to Panthers on the Plus. Once again, joined by Alex Zietlow of the Charlotte Observer. Alex, there were a lot of really good things to take away from this game. The young guys on this Panthers team stepping up in a massive way. Of course, a lot of credit does go to Bryce Young for putting his players in the positions to be making these plays as well. But we saw some huge plays on those final drives of the game, especially that one leading up to that final game-winning touchdown. We saw Jimmy Horn make that fourth down conversion in his NFL debut. We saw Mitchell Evans, the tight end, finishing off that drive with a touchdown, his second of the season. And then T-Mac, of course, continuing. And this is just on the offense. Oh, don't let me forget Trevor Etienne, also working as the number 2 running back in this game, having a big pickup and a big first down on that final drive too. Nick Scorton, Princely Manuelian, Lathan Ransom, all doing their thing out there. I mean, these young guys showed out.
This was a win for Dan Morgan.
Yeah.
Like what a great showing for this front office, particularly in this rookie class, because quite frankly, they needed it. If you look at that, I know that Scott Fitterer was the general manager in 2023, but the Panthers only now have 2 players from that 2023 draft class.
It's 1.5 currently with Zavala's injury.
Yeah,
right?
and I mean that's a good point as well. But like after releasing DJ Johnson, like outside of Bryce Young and the backup guard and Chandler Zavala, who's now injured, like, they don't really have that much to show for the 2023 draft class. And you might just think, okay, well, what's the big deal? Well, the big deal is they sold the farm to make that 2023 draft class happen. They traded Christian McCaffrey. They traded DJ Moore. And then after that, the defense was so good in 2023, but the offense wasn't. So then they had to get rid of a lot of defensive assets in 2024 to kind of reestablish the offense. So like that 2023 season is going to still casts a long shadow on this team. But last week or on Sunday was a big show of, hey, we're getting this thing back on the right track. Funny stat about Trevor Etienne. He ran for 22 yards.
Yep.
Outrushed the Miami Dolphins as a whole last week, because they only had 19 yards. And guess what? Okay, the Panthers apparently can't go defend the run. They kind of showed they could this past week.
Sure.
So that's pretty cool. Absolutely.
No, Trevor it was a fantastic showing for him.
Yeah.
I think that probably felt really good. Of course, he's been getting a lot of opportunities on special teams, but getting more carries as a running back, his position. It was pretty cool for him to get there. Of course, that being with Chuba Hubbard still being absent, Rico moving up to that number 1 running back. So yes, Trevor getting a lot of those opportunities. But I want to go back to the receivers on some of those 4th down conversions, because that final drive was so cool to see, especially when we're seeing these young guys in the moments. Dave Canales talked about how they were really able to kind of step up when they needed it.
Yeah. Oh my God. Wait, is this a Dave Canales clip? Is that what we're about to do?
We're sending it to Dave Canales.
My fault. My bad.
Yeah, we needed those. Those were big plays for us on 4th down. The guys are comfortable in different situations going for it, so it all starts with that, just knowing, okay, we're going to have another chance right here if we can make yards, on the first couple of shots there. But Bryce did a great job of extending that play to find T-Mac, and then Jimmy Horn coming through for us in a big way right there.
All right, Alex, take it away. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, sorry, Dave. I didn't mean to cut you off. Nah, I mean, so just to go to the first 4th down play where Bryce has to do some magic and like dance in the backfield a little bit and make one guy miss and then throw while he's getting hit to a T-Mac that wasn't really open. If you actually rewatch the play, he kind of threw him open, and then Tedero McMillan makes a wonderful catch for a first down, and that sustains a drive, and that's actually mad important, like if you actually look at the context of the game. Last week I came on here and I was pretty critical of Bryce, and I was basically like, he didn't turn the ball over, but he didn't do anything special. He didn't do the dazzling thing in the backfield, avoiding pass rushers. He wasn't throwing people open. He was dirtying the ball a lot. He was just surrendering the game away in many ways.
Yeah.
This week he didn't do that. Like, yeah, he made some mistakes, but if in exchange for those mistakes you're going to get moments of magic, give me the moments of magic. That's what we hope to see. If you're watching a sporting event, those are the kind of moments you live for, I think. And he was able to do that. Jimmy Horn, the next 4th down play, that's another moment of magic, man. I mean, talk about someone who has been told he's too short and all these things throughout his life. Is just super fast, gets open and makes like one of the biggest plays of the game on that 4th down little flag route that he ran. I mean, that's exactly what Panthers fans purchase tickets for.
I'll be honest, I wasn't feeling good as I saw that in the air.
You weren't?
I just seeing the matchup and just seeing the height, and it was like, oh, he got up.
Yeah.
Oh, he got it.
Yeah.
I just, from a physicality standpoint, I was like,
well, the defender actually did a pretty good job of covering that.
Yeah.
Jimmy had to secure the ball and kind of rip it away from him in the air. It was pretty special.
No, I think it just shows a lot of guts from Dave Canales, Brad Isaac, and just the offensive play calling, that they were wanting to go for it in those big moments. Even that final play, that one that they got that pass interference call, to still be throwing it at that point in the game with less than a minute. I was like, this is a team that is not showing fear in this moment. And I think that is something that can also speak, because there's been some times so far this season that we, as members of the media, have been critical, maybe to say, why are you making this decision? Why is Bryce just airing it out of the end zone? Things like that. So to see them going for it and to actually execute the word of Dave Canales every single week is execution, and to actually do it, I think is really cool to see.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, we talked about this exact thing last week. The play calling was conservative, blah, 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 blah. It wasn't this week.
Yeah.
And I mean, and perhaps I won't lump you in with me on this, Danielle, but perhaps I was being unfair when I was saying, oh, what are we thinking about? It's 3rd and long and we're handing the ball off. Maybe he saw that as 2 down territory, and so he wasn't actually being conservative in his play calling, whatever. And maybe Bryce isn't taking the deep shots when he's just dirtying it or throwing it away, whatever. Clearly this game, it was not a conservatively called game. Even to the very, very last play, or the last consequential play, where it's 3rd down and he calls an out route for Hunter Renfrow, who hadn't made a play all game, but makes a big one by drawing the pass interference play, and then afterward going into victory formation for the win. I mean,
Bryce getting pumped over a flag being called.
Yeah,
seeing his reaction there was really cool.
Yeah.
Before we go to break, I just want to quickly give that shout out to a very well-deserved Xavier Leggett on a comeback game of the season so far. He had 2 pretty rough games. He sat 2 with a hamstring injury and maybe also just trying to get back mentally into form. Who knows? He came out there with the belief of his teammates, with the belief of Coach Canales, who said he almost cried watching him get that touchdown. Really cool to see him back out there doing his thing.
It was a beautiful pass, a beautiful catch. No dollar bill celebration, but maybe that'll come in a different moment. But I like that redemptive performance is also what we watch sports for. Maybe I'm just gonna talk about how this game was emblematic for all of sports fandom.
It was just so
maybe
beautiful.
That's what I should do.
No, so many good things to take away, and it's obviously fun to talk about a win. And hopefully this will keep going for this 2-3 team going into week 6. We're going to talk a little bit more about their next matchup and what we can maybe and who we can maybe be looking for against the Cowboys next Sunday.
Oh, for sure. They got to buckle up. I think they know for sure. I've been there 5 years. They didn't keep me there for 5 years for no reason. I definitely say that. But we're looking forward to playing those guys next week, and we'll get to it. We'll handle that when I get there.
We've got a fired up Rico Dowdle on our hands, folks. That is him talking after this Dolphins win where he had 200-plus rushing yards about facing his former team of 5 years in the Dallas Cowboys next week. This has to have sent a statement to his former team for not keeping him around to say, hey, look, guys, look what I'm doing, and get ready to play me next week.
Oh, this has to be bulletin board material, man. I mean, it has to be plastered all around the Cowboys' place. I mean, essentially, the Cowboys and Panthers swapped running backs this offseason. The Cowboys got Miles Sanders, and the Panthers got Rico Dowdle. Clearly, the Cowboys didn't think Rico was worth an extension, and so the Panthers got him on the super cheap. And the moment that he gets his chance to shine, he dominates, and then that leads into his game against his former team. I mean, this is what we love to write about. This is exactly what we would want to see from a media standpoint. And, we were talking about this in the press room today, actually. I was like, man, we blow us writers and, TV people, we blow up so much how different games mean different things to players. Sometimes they don't. Well, come on, this is a business, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Well, then how do you explain Stephon Diggs going absolutely crazy against the Buffalo Bills? How do you explain these things that just seem to happen year after year? I think that Rico is really fired up for this game. Whether that results in a good performance, I don't know, but I think there is extra motivation.
Yeah, and if anything, the Cowboys' most recent film session to study the Panthers on is going to be just rewatching Rico run 200-plus yards on an opponent. So that's got to feel good for him. This offense, though, could be getting another boost. And, Alex, I know you today asked Dave Canales about Jaylen Coker. That has been something everyone wants to see because he has been such a reliable target for Bryce just through one season in his rookie year. He's not necessarily flashy, but he is so consistent for him.
Yeah.
And people, dare I say, the Coke heads, as they like to call themselves.
Yes, that's what they call them. But
yeah. But his fans, and the supporters of Jaylen Coker are very excited. He's missed the first 5 weeks so far of the season as he's been dealing with a quad injury that he suffered in preseason. What did we learn about his potential return?
His 21-day practice window is going to open on Wednesday, which in other words just means he's going to practice for the first time in this regular season. Really hopeful stuff. Now, if he doesn't get activated for the game on Sunday, he will still be on the IR, and that still means that the 53-man roster will be intact. They don't have to make any moves for him until he gets activated to the active roster. And then once he does make the 53, the Panthers need to do some moving around, some puzzle pieces to make it all work. But for right now, all you really need to know is that Jaylen Coker is healthy enough to practice, and that is a huge, huge deal.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, this guy was supposed to be the heir apparent to Adam Thielen this year, or even next year, because Adam Thielen had a 2-year extension before he got traded to the Minnesota Vikings. Adam was wonderful these past 2 years in Carolina. The moment that Adam got hurt last year in week 3, Jaylen Coker stepped up into that slot receiver position, that Y spot. and he played wonderfully. He and Bryce clearly had a connection, and that's what kind of fueled fans loved him from the jump, but like that's what kind of fueled his ascension within the building. And so they trade Adam Thielen away. Okay, this is Jaylen's time to shine. This is his moment. The very next day, he has a quad injury. And so now the Panthers have to scramble, yes, but also Jaylen has to scramble too. And I just feel for him. And now he gets a chance to like, okay, hey, I'm back in the game. I can back being an NFL player. And if he's able to do that against the Dallas Cowboys, more power to him, because there's a lot of opportunity with this Cowboys team. I have a couple stats pulled up, and so I just want to list them off real quick. Okay, they allow 30.8 points a game, 29th in the league.
Yeah.
Opponent yards per game, 412. That's dead last in the league. When it comes to rushing, they allow 127 yards per game, big time for Rico Dowdle to step up. And when it comes to passing, they allow 284. This could be a big day for this offense.
It really could. And I think it's interesting to see, of course, it might take a minute for Jaylen to get fully reacclimated, but I think he has the potential of really complementing T-Mac, though, as those reliable targets. Of course, that also is coming at the same time where Jimmy Horn is coming onto the scene now after his debut, where Xavier Legette is coming back from his injuries and his problems through the beginning of the season. So we're back to that wide receiver competition that we all thought we were going to see at the beginning, and then it kind of was like, oh wait, do we have any wide receivers on this team left? To, hey, we might have some real guys out here who can make an impact. But honestly, it's maybe a good problem to have.
Well, that's exactly what Dave Canales said. I even went as far to say, hey, if Jaylen Coker comes back, like, you guys have to make some moves with the 53-man roster. Do you have any thoughts on what you're going to do? And he responded, lots of thoughts, but nothing that I want to get into right now. And it's like, hey, like, he has to have lots of thoughts. You have to prepare for the future, but right now it's focused on Jaylen Coker getting healthy.
Absolutely.
Period. So.
He's such a nice guy too. Like, I remember speaking with him during the preseason, and he's just a wonderful person that you're rooting for. And of course, there's so many players on the team who are like that, but someone like him, I'm really excited to see out there playing once again, hopefully in a fully healthy form. That's all the time we have for right now on another edition of Panthers on the Plus. Alec, thank you so much for joining. We've got an exciting Week 6 back at the bank where the Panthers hope to go 3-0 at home this coming Sunday.
So you had me on when they lost. You had me when they won. What happens?
Well, I guess Dallas already has a tie in their book, so I don't know if we want to put that one out there.
Okay, that's fair enough. Thanks so much for having me on the show. It's just so fun.
Awesome. Thanks.